Welcome to another video from G Butter, not a spread. And today I want to talk about the iPhone XR that I've had the pleasure of using for the last couple of days. I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm making this video. I watch a lot of tech videos, probably too many, and there's a lot of inconsistency out there about the iPhone XR. First, there was the issue with the low resolution screen, and you probably saw the videos. One of them was called "The iPhone XR is depressing." There's just a lot of bad reviews about that one aspect. And it's true, you know, on paper it does look really bad, but I can tell you that using it for the last couple of days after using Samsung S8 Plus, it hasn't disappointed me. I do notice in bed that when the screen goes black, it's not completely black because it is an LCD display that's backlit, so you can't turn off individual pixels like you can with OLED, but it doesn't bother me at all. And it's a really good quality screen. And if you watch, I think his name is Jonathan Morrison, he actually has it's not a blind test. He covers the iPhone XR and the Pocophone. He covers the bezels with something. Anyway, he puts them underneath some kind of special display where you can only see the screen and the same size for each one. And he plays a video simultaneously on both devices, and people have to pick which one they like better. So check it out. I'll try to link it if I know how. I am kind of new to this YouTube thing, but check it out and see what you think. Anyway, so screen aside, there's so many things I want to talk about. So the conflicting reviews out there, some of them talk about with the iPhone XR, you get a lot of similarities and there are only a few differences. And some people fail to mention all the differences. For example, the size is obvious, the colors are obvious, the screen resolution, maybe not so obvious. The camera is obvious because you can see that it only has one lens in the back. The notch, to be honest, I thought it would bother me a lot more than it does. A lot of apps eliminate the notch for you. So if you watch some of the videos, people are disappointed that you can't eliminate the notch with software on the iPhone like you can with, let's say, the OnePlus. Most Android phones, you can eliminate the notch, so you turn the pixels beside the notch black, but still keep the information there, like your data bars, your Wi-Fi bars, the battery, and all that stuff. So you're saving some screen real estate, as a lot of techies like to call it. A lot of people ignore the RAM. So the iPhone XR that I'm shooting with right now only has 3 gigs of RAM. And for Apple, 3 gigs is a lot. I've been using my iPhone 6s for the last month or so, and it's still pretty quick. And I'm not sure how many gigs of RAM it does, but it only has, I want to say 2, maybe 3. I'm not quite sure. I think it's 2 though. And it's still quick with all of my apps. Another thing that people get wrong is that the glass on the front and on the back are the same, but they're not. It's actually Gorilla Glass 6 on the front and 5 on the back to save a little bit of money right there. And another thing is the IP rating. I heard one person say that the iPhone XR benefits from the exact same water and dust protection as the XS and XS Max, and that's just wrong. Later in the review, he does say that it is IP67, but then you can't say it's exactly the same because the XS and XS Max are rated at IP68. So there's a difference there. To be honest, I can't think of the other differences, but I can get into the review. Please subscribe to support the channel if you want to see more content come out. You're motivating me to provide better content and more content. So also in the comments, if you don't mind, tell me what you want to see. I may or may not be able to do it, but I will try. And so let's get into the review. So if you remember what G Butter stands for, let's get into that. So the good about this phone, I really like the Face ID, and it even works in the dark and in bed. I don't wear glasses, so I can't talk to that, but it's been really, really impressive. And what I can compare it to is the Iris Unlock with the S8 Plus, my Samsung. With the Samsung, I get frustrated sometimes because if the lens is not clean, or I guess the glass on top of the lens is not clean, it won't read my irises. and sometimes it'll read my irises too fast, and I'm trying to read a notification on the lock screen, but then my phone unlocks and the notification is gone. With the iPhone XR, that doesn't happen, and it got a lot of, I don't know, can I say crap? The iPhone X got a lot of bad reviews because you have to swipe up after it unlocks with the Face ID. And I actually like that because it gives me a chance to finish reading my notifications, and that's something I use a lot. I do use my notifications in the lock screen. So I like swiping up to bring the app page up, if that's what it's called. I think it's called the home screen. Anyways, so I like that. I have not found myself even once to be frustrated with Face ID. I was quite surprised actually. Sometimes I'm not holding the phone exactly at the right angle. It'll be off a little bit and it'll still unlock. So I'm pretty impressed with that. I was really not expecting it to be that good. And it is quick. I will admit sometimes it's not instant, and I don't know why that is, but it's never failed to unlock yet. And it's only been a couple of days, so that could change. Maybe I'll write a different review later, a long-term review. So what else do I like? I know I spoke about the notch already, but here's a few apps that eliminate the notch, and to my surprise, native apps eliminate it. So Notes in iOS eliminates the notch, and Reminders eliminates it, and iMessages eliminates it. Now, you still might have the background going up in and around the notch, but when you're scrolling, it draws a line right before the notch so that the notch is not affecting the content, which I think is brilliant. In iMovie, that's the app I use to edit my videos. The notch does come in a little bit into the app, but it hasn't bugged me. It's far off to the side enough that it doesn't really bother me at all. The bad, there is bad. Coming from the S8 Plus and the iPhone 6s, not the plus size, but the smaller size. From my last video, you'll remember that I did have an iPhone 6s Plus, but I sold it and got the OnePlus 3T. But since then, I've bought an iPhone 6s because I do like a smaller phone in my pocket day to day, you know, going to work. I don't use my phone that much. I'm at a desk on my computer. So I do like the smaller form factor. And that's one thing I kind of found hard to get used to. The iPhone XR is kind of chunky. So I put it side by side next to my S8 Plus, and I can do that right now. And as you can see, it's about the same size. The S8 Plus is actually taller, but the S8 Plus has tapered edges. That makes it feel a lot smaller, and it fits in the pocket a lot easier too. I put my phones in my front jean pockets just because I've dropped and broken way too many phones. I've learned not to wear loose clothing, not to put phones in pockets that are loose. So I found that the front pockets of your jeans is probably the safest place to put your phones, especially nowadays. They're all glass fronts and backs. Not a whole lot of metal phones out there. That was the biggest hurdle for me, is to get used to the bigger size. After this review is done, I'm giving this phone to my wife anyway, and I'm gonna take her iPhone 7 Plus. So this is actually a good thing. I do need to get used to a bigger phone if I'm gonna be using an iPhone 7 Plus. I will do a video on iOS versus Android, and I've been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like that famous kids book, and I just cannot decide on which phone to use as my daily driver. So getting back to the good, the bad, the ugly, honestly, there's no ugly. I could not find something that I did not like about this phone besides the form factor. It's kind of big. I don't like that. Other than that, I really could not find anything frustrating. But I do want to add an extra qualifier to G-Butter just for this review. I'm not an Apple sheep, but I have to add a beautiful because the gestures are very intuitive and smooth, and just, they are really, I can't emphasize enough how good it is. But on the flip side, I don't want to build it up to a point where you're disappointed if you haven't tried it yet and you get an iPhone X or S Max or R. But I've heard YouTubers say that the gestures are smooth and intuitive, and they make the home button feel obsolete, or antiquated, or I'm not sure what they said, but it's so true. You just have to try it. So, quick breakdown of how it works. Whenever you want to bring up that page, I know it has a name. On the 10 family of iPhones, you would have to swipe down from the right side to bring that up. To bring this page up, you would have to swipe down from the left side. And to switch between apps, instead of clicking the home button twice and switching between apps, well, I only have one open right now, you can actually slide along the bottom bar. And I think I'm gonna show you this with the actual phone. It is so good. I really enjoy that feature. To multitask or open your recently used apps, you slide from the bottom up a little bit and then hold right there, and it doesn't take very long for the apps to show up. And to close them, it's the same thing, you swipe up. But that's pretty much it for this review. Is there anything else that's beautiful? I will show you a bunch of pictures that this phone can take and maybe add some music or whatever. But the beautiful is... That's it. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.